So one of the witnesses that testified that was called to testify by the prosecution was this banker, Farrow. He was the one who set up the bank accounts for Michael Cohen in the name of that shell company that he used, as Essential Consultants or something like that, which is just what these names these people come up with. And he said that there would have been additional due diligence by the banks that would have delayed or prevented the transaction if Farrow had known that it was the bank account was set up to engage in efforts to assist the campaign, or that it was involved in hush money payments to a porn star because of, quote, reputational harm. Right. So the fact that Cohen kind of misled the banker on the nature of these payments is part of the reason why Cohen was able to effectuate them in the first place. And then the banker also walked through some records showing how Cohen took out a home equity loan and used the funds to transfer that hush money payment to Keith Davidson, the lawyer that was representing Stormy Daniels, and he Cohen set it up to look like a real estate transaction. I would imagine as further means to make sure it didn't get flagged by the bank. Because again, the point was to make sure these payments didn't become public. If it gets flagged by the bank, that could create some issues, and then the money doesn't go through, and then the agreement's off. And this is, keep in mind, this is like October, right before the election. And Farrow was also said Cohen was also a challenging client because of his desire to get things done so quickly. That's a direct quote. Cohen had also formed that shell company and created and funded a bank account and initiated the wire transfer all within like a handful of days. And clearly that just shows like the sense of urgency to get this deal done and get this money out right before the election. So this idea that it was, these payments were meant to silence the women that Trump had an affair with, so his wife didn't find out, that kind of tends to fall apart with the more evidence that's being presented in these trials.
Yeah, and like just a long standard evidence that he doesn't care about his wife. Years and years of very public behavior.
Are we using the term wife loosely? Because
she's legally his wife. I mean,
yeah, and she is loose. But I mean, look, obviously Trump didn't want his wife to know, but that's largely because he didn't want her to be a headache. But that wasn't his main concern.
Okay, I have issues with, do we really actually believe that Melania is going out in the front lawn or in her fucking robe to pick up the morning paper?
Yeah. Maybe.
What robe?
Not a thing.
Robe.
That's not a thing.
No, she's going down to get the paper from where?
Well, look,
don't they live in a hotel?
Obviously,
Yeah,
Trump didn't want her to know, but that wasn't his major concern. And the fact that it wasn't his only concern really kind of eliminates that as a defense, right? Because you can have multiple motives. Also, prosecutors played a couple of clips of Trump at a rally, one where he said, quote, "I have no idea who these women are. I have no idea." And this was in 2016, where he was speaking about Stormy Daniels and Karen McDougal. And he went on to say, quote, "Whoever she is, wherever she comes from," do I need to do the Trump voice? "Whoever she is, wherever she comes from, the story is a total fiction. They're 100% made up. They never happened." And he called the stories lies, totally invented fiction, and said that it's a total setup. And then there was another video that they showed that said, "All of these lies will be sued when the election is over." And then the last clip,
lies will be sued.
Well, sorry, I mean, yes. I'm sure he meant the lies will be sued over, or he will be suing the liars.
Yes.
And then the final clip that they showed, Trump called Michael Cohen a very good lawyer. Which is just funny because when you're doing Trump's dirty work, he praises you, and the second you stop doing his dirty work, he trashes you. It's kind of an endless cycle of that. Also, like, man, Trump ain't got no loyalty to nobody. No matter how much dirt they do on his behalf, he is willing to throw everybody under the bus.
On that note, what I will say is, for me, what is most telling is not the people Trump goes after, but those that he doesn't.
Right. David Pecker, for
Like
instance.
that for me is more.
Hope Hicks is an
That is
example.
more. Yeah, like the ones that he doesn't, because he picks and chooses who testifies against him or who says something contradictory or whatever. But there have been plenty of people who have said very not nice things, not complimentary things about him that he has never attacked. That to me is where the story is.
Yeah,
Because
I mean, obviously the people who have the most dirt on him, he's typically not going to attack because he don't want that. He don't want that trouble.
Exactly, bingo. Like that's it. Because then when he is completely silent, because Michael Cohen, he goes all in. I haven't seen one post. David Pecker, he'd be nobody without me, or he hasn't got, in his typical way of how he does go after people. And the same after Hope Hicks's testimony, he hasn't said the same thing. So it's like, if you go back and you look at
who he won't attack,
every person that has said something, who he attacks and who he doesn't, the real story is in who he doesn't attack.
Now, granted,
not who he does.
The gag order is in effect, and the judge has been like, "Hey, man, you step out of line anymore, dog, you might be headed to jail," and that has toned down some of Trump's rhetoric. But normally, he'll even still hint at the testimony of witnesses.
Like the gag orders meant shit to him. Like he's still attacking the Georgia. Yes. The judge's daughter,
when they slam him with such a
everything else. So
$9,000.
Yeah, well, look,
it's the justice we've all been waiting for.
Oh man, I don't. How is he ever going to pay that? Like that was
okay. You guys are shitting.
Was harsh.
You guys are shitting on that, but the judge even pointed out the fact that he was bound by the statutory limits of $1,000 for each instance of the violation, and that's why he noted if Trump keeps going on, he's going to have to lock him up because he don't have no other options. And it has cooled Trump's behavior while Trump still is, look, he's a habitual line stepper, but it's calmed him down. He's not totally off the rails like he was a couple of weeks ago. But yes, he is still attacking the judge's daughter, which is insane. Like, bro, what the fuck are you thinking? But yeah, that the Trump picks and chooses who he attacks and who he doesn't is very interesting. I can only imagine what you could possibly infer from that. But prosecutors also called Keith Davidson, the lawyer for the two ladies here, to testify on the stand. And one of the things that they noted were some texts between Dylan Howard and Keith Davidson, Dylan Howard being the editor at the National Enquirer. So these June 2016 texts say, quote, "I have a blockbuster Trump story." And that was one text. And he was talking about, well, quote, "Talk first thing, as in the morning. I will get you more than anyone for it. You know why." And then this is Howard. "Did he cheat on Melania? Do you know if the affair was during his marriage to Melania?" "I really cannot say yet. Sorry." That was Howard. "Okay, keep me informed." Rather, that was Davidson. "Okay, keep me informed," Howard texted. He then flew out to meet McDougal and Davidson in person to discuss the allegations. And a friend of the models was also present at the time. And then later, Davidson texted Howard, "It's a story that should be told." And Howard replied, "I agree." And then that was in June of 2016. And then the next month in July, Howard was texting asking to speak to Trump, saying that he thought he had an entree to pitch the story again. In another message, Davidson wrote to Howard, quote, "Don't forget about Cohen. Time is of the essence. The girl is being cornered by the estrogen mafia." And yeah, I know. And the attorney was like, Davidson here was like, he it was a regrettable phrase, obviously. He also said, a quote, that was a term I think came from one of Karen's associates at that first meeting. There were several women who were leaning on Karen to sign a deal with ABC, and he was saying that McDougal was rumored to be mulling an appearance on Dancing with the Stars because she was trying to reinvigorate her career. And when Howard told him to, quote, get me a price on McDougal, Davidson initially came back with a whopping price tag of $1 million. Ty, you know we on camera? No. And then
I did not.
That's
know
why I
that.
was just
I'm
mouthing,
sorry.
where the fuck is time?
yeah, you totally forgot about that, huh? So it's okay. Keith Davidson said that.
I'm so sorry, guys.
No, it's okay. I was just teasing. But Keith Davidson said that an attorney for AMI asked him to reach out to Cohen, but he didn't want to do so because of past experiences talking to Trump's attorney, which he described as not pleasant or constructive. And Davidson did end up calling Cohen because he understood that the deal would benefit Cohen's client, and that is Trump. Trump, however, wasn't named on the paperwork, obviously because they went to such an extreme degree to keep his name off these documents. But AMI did eventually pay Davidson the sum of money for Karen McDougal's story. And then Davidson texted Howard after the fact, glad it's all sorted. And Howard replied, fucking Jesus. So, I mean, that kind of shows you the extent of the relationship between Michael Cohen and AMI in getting this deal done to silence Karen McDougal, which again, it just highlights the nature of the illegal plot to keep these women from going public before the election.